Gottmik, I would love to start with you. I want to say, I am sitting in my apartment here in the city of Los Angeles. And I know. So this is my question. Why have the LA Queens struggled on Drag Race so much? I'm sort of curious about that. And then also twofold, did that put some extra pressure on your shoulders going into the show? Because I know how much you want to show up and show out and represent for LA.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot speak for any of the other LA girls that have been on the show, but you know, I feel like LA is a place where we're all kind of focused on how we look, and it's very who's the fishiest doll in the room at the time when we go out. And so I feel like a lot of other cities like Atlanta and New York and stuff, they are performing every single day, multiple times a day, going. They're breeding Drag Race bitches. Whereas in LA, we're just kind of in our own brains for the for myself. So that was something I had to definitely learn to step out of. Oh, Queen. That is something I had to learn to step out of in my head, because I went in there with that LA mentality of I need to look perfect at all times and be very Miss Fame in the corner, like very just LA. So the second I got out of that mindset is when I actually started playing that game.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go. Well, we'd love to have you in New York, and
no.
If you feel like you want to relocate.
I'm coming. I need to.
Yeah. Symone, I'd love to just turn to you for a sec. I know you're not living there now, but you're originally from Arkansas, correct?
I am.
We have seen, I think, especially through Drag Race in recent years, the drag scene throughout the South really evolved, and not just in spaces, you know, like Atlanta or like big city centers, but I think throughout some smaller towns or cities throughout the South. I'm wondering if you can speak to the evolution of drag and drag appreciation throughout the South.
Well, I think for Arkansas, where I was from in particular, there was very much a resistance to it. They wanted to stay in their ways, you know, the pageantry, you go through the system, you make a name for yourself that way, and then any of the other types or styles of drag was seen as, oh, that's cute, but this is what we're gonna do. And I think Drag Race, especially around the time I left around 2 years ago, it kind of made it to where if you want to survive, you have to be more open to different styles of drag, because now everyone's watching it, no matter what type of drag you're getting into, and that's what they want to see. So I think for sure it has pushed a lot of the places that were so resistant to the change and what other types of drag there is. It made it happen. And I think also, especially where we're from, like me and my house, we kind of had, I would say we have a little bit of credit with that too. And Little Rock, I'll say we had a little bit to do with that. We had a lot to do with that. We did a couple, 2-3 things there that made people, help move that kind of along. We were kind of a space for people that felt othered in their drag to come to and express themselves and be okay and find a family inside of that. We called it Glitter Rock. That's what we created for ourselves. So for sure, and there's an evolution, and it's there now. It's definitely way more open than it was when I first started.
Totally. And would you say that there is that like old school pageantry in your drag as well? Is that like the foundation off of which
it's what I love. It's what I fell in love with as far as drag, because that's the blueprint. No matter where we are now, that's the blueprint, Diva. So for sure, as far as how I speak and how I and the mentality, there's definitely pageantry mentalities that I do have that I picked up from the girls that I have, but not necessarily the pageant style. That's not my gig, but definitely the mentality, the attitude, and the work ethic from pageantry for sure I picked up.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think about all the different styles, especially with you four on here who are all representing sort of different parts of the country and different aesthetics. Elliott, I'd love to go to you. The difference between working, in Vegas must be so different, Vegas just in general. I mean, it's its own monster. And, you've talked about working with other Ru girls in Vegas. And so how much of a motivating factor was that for you, working with these girls who had been on the show, and then, you know, sort of taking your own experience to it. Was that just an extra motivating factor, sort of being surrounded by coworkers who were getting on the show sort of before you?
Yeah, the way that because I come from Dallas, which is also a pageant city. So I came to Vegas because same as Simone, I didn't really fit in with you do the prelim, you do the state, and if you're
Sure.
not competing for pageants, your drag doesn't matter. And so
Mhm.
that's why I left and decided to come to Vegas. And I've worked with so many of the Ru girls in Europe and in Canada and just all over the place. And it really just made me feel like this was my time, because I was like, you know, I've worked with these girls for so many years. And so I was like, okay, I see them, I get it now, like I'm ready. And I felt ready enough to do it. And, you know, being from Vegas, Vegas is a jungle when it comes to drag. Like when I first moved here, I was in drag 5 nights a week. I was hosting pool parties in the middle of the summer. It was 115 degrees outside and I'm out at the pool. And then you have to go from there to the club, you know, and the shows, because it's Vegas, nothing ever closes. So the show starts at 2 a.m. Like it was, you know, you have to be hungry and you have to really want it to be able to make anything out of it, because Vegas, it will eat you alive if you
Yeah.
don't, you know, go full force, full steam ahead.
Totally. LaLa Ri, I'd love to turn to you. First of all, are we doing LaLa or is it LaLa Ri every time?
It's LaLa Ri every time, dog.
Hey.
No, it could be LaLa.
Okay. Well, I will respectfully call you LaLa Ri because I learned to never make a drag queen angry in my long career of being homosexual. So LaLa Ri, you were competing against your drag mother this season, which is such a unique dynamic. What were the challenges there, and do you feel like you held back? Do you feel like you competed even harder? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I never hold back. It actually pushed me to go even harder because she was someone who put me in drag first. But I wanted to show her how I grew without her help. After she after she put me in drag, I mean, it was exciting to have someone there from Atlanta with me, someone that I knew personally. That was very exciting. But I was there to win a crown, and no one was going to hold me back at all.
Yes. Well,
Miss Ree.
you know, we have the fortune of talking to a lot of queens who have been on the show, and it is always, obviously, I mean, I can't speak to this, but just from speaking to the other queens, such an intense, crazy experience. But given the circumstances just this year with what's going on in the world, I can only imagine that this was as intense and as crazy as it ever was. I would love, maybe from each of you, just to get a little story or a little tidbit about what life was like in this drag race bubble, because it's always a little bit of a bubble, I imagine, but this year just amped that up to a 20, I assume. Let's start with you, Simone. Was there any particular story or anything that you can think about just to sort of exemplify how crazy of an experience this was?
Oh God. I will say, I think from my perspective, this might be just me, having kind of the restrictions that we had on us and not being able to necessarily, only people we could really touch and be around was each other. And I think that helped me personally be like, okay, I want this even more. Like, I don't know, I just feel like the competition was just that much more real for somehow. I don't know how to explain. I don't know how it works. I don't know the psychology of that, but I just feel like it just made me want it more. Going through everything that we went through and all the things that we couldn't necessarily do, it's just like, bitch, these bitches ain't, I can't do nothing, but I can win this crown. I can do that. So let me put in my energy into that. So for me, that was kind of the psychology behind what I went through.
Sure. Was it the same for you, Gottmik?
Yeah, I think 1,000%. I remember going in, I was so scared almost to not have my phone and not being able to talk to my friends and family and have that support system. But looking back at it, I am so thankful I did not have my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to other outside people I get in my head.
Yep.
I want to change things. But you are on such a tight schedule that you have no choice to just keep your eye on the prize and keep moving forward at the fastest pace possible. And if I had my phone, I probably would have lost sight of that real fast.
Yeah. How about you, Elliott?
What I think was so interesting was, the stress of the way that the world is right now. I think it's something that really weighs on you. And I feel like it was almost a blessing in disguise to not be able to connect to the outside world, because it helped you just really focus on what you were doing and really just, because it's hard. The world is so difficult right now. It's, every day you have to force yourself to get out of this, negative, depressing state, because it's just hard right now. And so it almost was easier than, I mean, it wasn't easy at all. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it just kind of helped remove that extra little bit of, stress.
Sure.
Because you weren't online every day. You weren't able to see, updates and the numbers and everything, all of the things that just cause so much stress in your life. We were able to kind of get away from it and just focus on what we were doing in the moment. And so I'm kind of thankful for that.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I want to like put my phone in a lake now.
you guys are really inspiring me to just like take a hammer to my phone right now.
Baby, I was fine, but like honestly, it is true what they're saying. Like it was a blessing in disguise not to have to deal with any of it. Like not having to think, only thing you're thinking about is what is the song, what's this challenge, what is this wig. Like it's fabulous just to concentrate on the art in your drag and the creativity. It was that in
like
itself was
physically
100%
forced to keep your eye on the prize at all times.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Miss LaLa Ri, what was the most difficult part for you?
The most difficult part for me was the fact that I didn't have my phone. I am actually glued to my phone all the time. I'm always on like social media and like on the blogs and stuff like that.
Sure.
But like I said, it was a blessing in disguise because it took away that added stress. Because before Drag Race, I was reading the news every day, staying update on the numbers, the cases and things of like that. So it was a blessing to not have that stressing me out every single day. So yeah.
So one thing that we're asking all the queens, because we'd really like to hear everybody's kind of like unique take on it, is how you feel about the future of drag. We see all these performance spaces and bars and clubs, and particularly queer spaces closing down these days. And so are you worried about the future of drag, and what do you think the future of drag and all these spaces will be? We can start with Elliott, if that's okay.
What I think is that I think that it almost opens up an opportunity for us to not necessarily have secluded straight places and queer places. I feel like it almost opens up the opportunity for us to kind of appreciate each other more, because of the fact that we had all of our social interactions taken away from us for almost a year now. And so I think that our queer spaces are so special and so important to us. And, but this is like a once in a lifetime situation that we're going through right now. And so it's really, you really don't know how to handle this type of situation and how to move forward from it. So I think that we should just work on embracing each other, especially when we're able to get back together with each other and be around each other. I think, the way that Drag Race has kind of made drag mainstream, there's so much more viewership of people that may have never been to a gay bar before, may have never been to a drag show before, are now able to sit at home and watch it with their family. And I think we should really, open up the possibilities of what drag is to the rest of the world. So, open up the idea of hosting a viewing party at an art exhibit or at a straight bar or, at a restaurant, like something, try our best to make sure that everyone that wants to be a part and wants to be involved can be involved, because we have been without people for so long now at this point. If you want to watch the drag, let's watch the drag.
LaLa Ri, we'll go to you.
Yes. So originally I was a little concerned about, the future of drag, because a lot of gay bars did close down, will have closed down. But I realized that drag queens are waymakers. So I see a lot of drag queens have made like the virtual shows become a success. The whole drive and drag has become a success. So I'm like, well, girl, either way it goes, we're gonna make our coins.
Yeah.
Even if the clubs
Same.
decide to close down, we're gonna still make our coins. So I am really optimistic about the future of drag actually.
Simone, what do you think?
I think that we as queer people, LGBTQIA plus people, are a resilient people. We are people that have fought and continue to fight every day. So I think that they're, like LaLa said, we are waymakers, especially drag queens, us gals. And I think that this closing down is really, it's sad. And but I think once we're coming on the other side of it, we'll take all the sadness, all the creativity that we've have pent up inside of us, and we'll push forward, because that's what we do. That's what we as gay people, no matter if you're a queen, if you do behind the scenes stuff, that's what we do. We make art, we make the world turn around. So I think that once we are able to, go into the world and have our moment once again, I think that it's just gonna be up, and it's gonna be better than ever, because it's pent up and we're trying to get it the hell out. So I think that's the future. And I think drag, like LaLa was saying as well, like it's online now. That's another avenue we have to explore once all this comes back. So I think drag is not gonna go anywhere, honey. It's always gonna be here. So it's just figuring out a way to, make it, I don't know, I guess just figure out a way to just push through.
Sure. Absolutely. Gottmik.
Yeah, I mean, obviously at first it was so scary, but I was never really worried for the future of drag because, like LaLa said, we're wave makers. We are going to make it work. We're going to get our coin. And the way that we have changed drag and what's going on right now with online and all of that, I feel like it is the best thing that ever could have happened, because there are kids watching that could not have watched us do what we do every day.
True.
And they're getting inspired, and Drag Race is just opening up doors for the community, and so many different types of drag are starting to get shown on such a high mainstream level. So it's kind of the craziest timing that all of this is happening at once, because kids are just watching us and being like, oh my God, I can do drag. Drag is literally for everyone. And on top of it, there's no excuses to not make content anymore.
Hello.
I know.
Like, oh, you're not booked for it, so where's the online show?
My laziness has no excuse anymore.
No anymore. So I'm really excited that it's kind of giving kids an opportunity to get into what we do more than ever.
Well, and there are going to be kids around the world who watch this season of this show and see you four and the entire cast and are inspired in so many different ways. So Sam and I are so excited to watch. Congratulations, you guys. It's going to be so much fun. We really appreciate your time, and hopefully we all chat again sometime soon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Bye, you guys.